Right, let's get cracking. So we want LEBL through to LEIB, and we're going to be taking the CJ4. So this CJ4, the guys at Working Title have done an absolutely incredible job. So this is the first, in my opinion, study level airplane to hit Microsoft Flight Simulator with its own independent VNAV and autopilot system that's not reliant on Asobo. So if Asobo decide to break anything, it won't affect this mod, which is brilliant. So just going to set this up and I'll talk through what I'm going to do. Now, I'm no expert at this aircraft, so if I do something you don't agree with or you think I'm doing something wrong, just say something within the comments. But I'm not an expert. I don't sort of stress that I am here. But right, so weight and balance of fuel on the plan tells me that we need 1322 in kilos. Right, you can't adjust the fuel on this. Oh, I know why, because you've got to do it within the FMC. So LEBL. Okay, so let's just find some GA gate somewhere. Okay, 139 GA will do. Right, whether we will use preset of clear skies. Time of flight will roll back to about 3 PM, 3:30 PM. There we go. So let's just launch. Right, I've just launched SimToolkit Pro, so we can launch the menu at the top. And I'll leave the map off for now because that doesn't seem to add much value, and people seem to think it's hiding things on the view. So we'll do that. That's cool. Okie dokie. So let's get ready to fly. So welcome to the CJ4. This is the working title 0.8.0 mod. It's only just been released. Now I've been keeping a close eye on what these guys have been doing, and their commitment to the community was they were going to produce the first study level aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I think they've pretty much got there. Now I've done a pre-flight in this earlier today, just to see what it's like, and I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun. It really is. So without further ado, let's just go through some of the things you need to do. Okay, like now I've said already, and I'll say again, I'm not an expert on this aircraft. I'm learning it, but I've learned enough to know that battery needs to go on, avionics switch goes down, which then enables us to see the FMC. We go to pos and it, and we copy our location and we paste it in. We then click on index. We then click on next page and route menu. You need to put your pilot ID into here in the settings section. You will find your pilot ID on your flight plan from SimBrief. And it comes, I'm just going to see if I can find it. What's mine? 310442. And it just comes at the top at the of your flight plan. It's just across the top there, which is all good. Okay, right, so where was I? Apologies, just doing 10 things at once here. Okay, so we're going to click on flight plan recall, and that's now going to load in the flight plan in from SimBrief. Touch of a button, we will click execute, and that is now done, as simple as that. Now, if there's more than one navigation point with the same name, it will ask you to choose which one, but that's just loaded that in from SimBrief, nice and easy. So looking at the flight plan, we're departing Barcelona on runway 2, which is already selected, and we're going to be on a LEIB 2 Alpha. So we'll click next and next and next. Quite a few seats on here. LEIB 2 Alpha, and we're going to click execute. Okie dokie. And while we're here, we're going to, because it's only a short flight, we're going to do our arrival as well into Ibiza, and we'll be on a runway 6 on a Tolso 2 Sierra. So ILS 6. We'll use the Zulos, are more popular on a Tolso. Click next. 2 Sierra, and we will click execute as we do. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to go to performance initialization now. Next job for me is to launch Rex Weather, and then we can take some information in from that. Once you see this aircraft in flight, you're going to want it, and guess what? It's free of charge, and I'll put the link in the description afterwards of where you can get it from and the download. But this is so easy to fly once you're up in the air. It just does its own thing. It's brilliant, and this thing will land on the runway pretty much through its own VNAV profile and its own navigation aids. You don't even need to use the ILS. It's that accurate. It's brilliant. So I'm in love with this aircraft already. Okay, so today we've got 7 persons on board. We've got no cargo, and that's done. We will go to takeoff, and we need to understand what our wind is. So I'm just going to start Rex. Now I could just use Met Office data because Rex is live, but I might as well just wait for Rex to come up. Hopefully it tells we are in Ibiza, and it will give me some metadata. Right, yeah, we're in Ibiza, and we are, wind is 170 at 3 knots. Temperature outside is 14 degrees. It's better than it is here in Birmingham. And we are 1017. Okay, next job is we click the runway dry or wet. We know it's dry. We click next. We click send, and what that will do is send through your takeoff information through to your PFD. Okay, so that's done. You're pretty much done with your FMC now. Next step is we don't have an APU on this aircraft. We're going to click, I'm going to start engine 2. We'll click the engager. I'm going to open the guard and click run. Close the guard. M2's rising. And 1's rising. Okay. We're good. We've got fuel flow. So we'll start engine number 1. Engine number 1 starting lovely. So what we'll do now is we'll switch our avionics from dispatch to on. Before I forget, we're going to pop the pitot heat on, because that's something I keep forgetting. Next job is to switch on the climate control. And I'm just going to turn my fan down a bit so it's not so noisy. Next job is we're going to pop our beacon and nav lights on, and we're going to pop our seatbelt lights on.
May I have your attention, please? At this time, please comply with the illuminated seatbelt.
Okay, so looking at our flight plan now, it's telling me that this flight is going to go through at 13,000. So we will pop into our altitude, 13,000, which is done. Flight directors go on, and we're going to put our climb speed at 230 knots. So we're going to pop FLC in at first, and we're going to select 230 knots, which is done. Okie dokie. We'll pop our nav mode on as well, so our LNAV. So we've now got LNAV and FLC, 230 knots and 13,000 feet inside. Now, because I'm using Rex, I can't reset my barometer until I start moving, which is fine. I'm going to hit my space bar just to elevate my position, and I'm going to hit F7 to drop the flaps 1 notch. Apart from that, we are pretty much ready to go. Now, I've preset on here how I want my screen 2 to look, and memory 1 will load that for me. There are plenty of YouTube videos that will show you how to set up minor details like this. Okie dokie. So we're going to push back. I'm not going to use pushback express. I'm just going to use the organic system built in. And whilst we do that, I'm just going to load my Navigraph charts because I'm unfamiliar with the airport, so I need to know where I'm going for runway 2. Okay, new flights from Simbury. Okay, I'm just going to load our taxi charts. Runway 2. Pop off our parking brake. So runway 2 is pretty much behind us. Okie dokie, we'll stop push there. My shift and P. Go back in the cockpit. Taxi lights on. We'll don't mind blinding him. Okay, so we need to just do a 180. Try not to run over the chap there. And we've got a fair bit of a taxi down to runway 2 today, so we'll start that process now. This scenery, by the way, is by Latin VFR for Barcelona. It's a really nice piece of scenery. We're just going to turn here according to the charts, and you'll see one of my other reviews that I've done on here of how well they've done and what else they've added to the local environment in terms of Barcelona, some of the attractions that you can see as you fly over there as well. Okay, so as we come round here, we are going to turn here left. And we're going to go straight down past the end of the runway here. Actually, I think we're going to need to just go to the tip of the runway. We're cheating, we're not supposed to be going this way, but hey ho. Okie dokie. I will turn back off at this runway here. Yeah, I took a wrong turn now. I shouldn't have gone that way, but hey ho, it is what it is. And we're going to go around this way. It is a bit of a long taxi, I apologise for that. We're going to turn right. Serves me right for spawning in the GA bit. So we'll go right down. And now we'll follow that round to the left. Not too far to go till we get to the runway now. Trust me for picking one of the biggest airports in Europe. Okay, and then we're at runway 2. Just stop here for a brief moment. Okay, so we'll pop our strobes on and our landing lights on. Our flaps are set. That particular point, just before we go off on our travels, I just want to have a look at the legs page, because you'll see now you'll have discontinuities, so we will, you can just overtype those, execute that. Now I'd like to come in and not have to do a massive trip, so Ellie, I'm going to have a quick look at the charts to make sure we're not on a really stressfully long approach. So going to load ibiza charts. Runway 6, ILS Zulu. So we want to go DEMEV. And that's our fix. Okay, so we want to come in from IB728 DEMEV. So if we select DEMEV, go back and find 728. We paste that there, we overwrite. So we're going to go straight from that waypoint. Actually, looking at that, we don't need to. Right, we're ready to go. Let's go. Break off. Sorry, I'm just looking at the charts of trying to save time on the flight, and as we come in I was looking at ADX down, but actually that's an okay approach, so I'm happy with that. So we've got our flight level change set. Well, I've got my altitude set. We've got nav mode, LNAV selected. I'm not going to engage VNAV until I get cruise, and I'll show you what we do once we get there. Okie dokie. Lose that off our screen. We just need to turn here. Okay, now we're on runway 2 and we're ready to go. Okay, his thing is like a rocket. We're up to 100 knots already, and V1, rotate, gently pull back, positive rate, gear up, flaps up, and bring your throttle back a little bit to climb. Have a little look out the window while we go. Okay, and then autopilot on. So what that will now do is it will use your climb thrust, and it will bring the aircraft to 230 knots, and it will climb at quite a decent rate until it achieves. Now, if you're going along a flight with a higher altitude, you need to bear in mind that past 30,000 feet, you're going to need to put your throttle to full, and past 35,000 feet, flight level change really isn't going to work that well for you. You're going to want to bring into a vertical speed of maybe 400 or 500 feet per minute. And away we go, nice and simple. So we're climbing currently at nearly 5,000 feet per minute, which is right for this aircraft. It is like a little rocket. Okay, now it's quite a short flight this, so what we're going to hit now is our index, and we're going to go into our performance page, not our positive, flight plan performance here, and we're going to hit, so it's the button here, and then we're going to put approach. Now just going to grab some metadata off the Met Office. And we're going to type in LEIB. Okay, so we are 1016. Our temperature is 15 degrees. And our wind is 360 at 4 knots. What's important is, dry or wet obviously, you need to click next and send, and that will send that through to your primary flight display here. Now, one thing to note with this aircraft is standard set is 18,000 feet due to the Americanisms of this, and you can't change that. So you're going to be on standard. Now what you can do, if need be, is you could just scroll and select 29902 on here, like so, and that's the same as standard being set. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is engage VNAV.
Altitude.
Now you'll notice that you've got VNAV on here. So that is now controlling our altitude. And I'll show you what happens. So we're only on 13,000 on this particular flight. Nice and simple, nice short flight down to Ibiza. Now, the beauty with this being pretty much study level, you don't need to worry about when to descend. You don't need to worry about ILSs and approach. Its RNAV is that precise. It will pretty much plonk you on the end of the runway. You just need to flare. It is that good. So we can see on our MD display, though I forgot to bring my throttle back. Yeah, one little note, there is no auto throttle. So you need to watch your speed. There we go. So I will set my speed at about, probably about 40% throttle, I think, because we're quite low down. Need to just keep your eye on that. I keep forgetting that. I'm used to having an automatic throttle. So we're just down the coast of Barcelona at the moment. I have to admit, this has become my favourite little aircraft. I do wish I was sort of sat there with a glass of malt right now, but never mind. So you've now got VNAV altitude, so we know it is automatically holding that altitude for us. What you can do now is actually select your altitude as 0 and just leave it. And when you hit top of descent, the aircraft will automatically follow profile. See, if you're on VATSIM or anything and you're being directed, then that's not the right practice, right? But apart from that, that's all good. Now when it becomes time to descend, you'll see top of descent on here. You'll see top of descent start to flash on here, and you'll notice it automatically follows its own profile. It has built its own profile and it knows when to descend. Your job is just to make sure that your legs are correct. Any constraints in there are set. You can just leave it then. I noticed LARPers on here twice actually as a waypoint, so we're going to select to go direct to here, just to tidy this up a little bit. It's still on here twice. Let's just try deleting that point there. There we go. It's really easy, it's just like the old Bowen. You can just delete and move waypoints as you need to. Hi Terry, yes, a top of descent that works. This is my new favourite aircraft. Yeah, direct that works as well, very true. It does work. And actually, you know, if I mess with the flight plan, it doesn't make me restart it all again. It's really clever. What these guys have done is they've written all of the code outside of a SOBO. So when a SOBO make changes, it will not affect this airplane. It's beautiful. It's absolutely brilliant. And I don't need to worry about when I'm going to descend, as you'll see shortly. Actually, whilst this is downloading, sorry, while this is flying, I'm just going to pop a link to the aircraft in the description. CJ4. Right click, copy address, and then go to the stream. And we'll click on, I've got to find it where I edit the stream. There we go. Here is a link to the aircraft. Colon, and there we go. I'll put a link in the description now of where you can download this from. I've done a flight already, Terry, and it was brilliant. It was so easy. It's an amazing little aircraft. You just need to watch your speed because you don't have an auto throttle. And like now, I'm pushing my luck a little bit because we're only at 13,000 feet. The thing is as well, I don't know if you can see my frame rate in the corner. This doesn't hurt your frames. I'm at 47, 48 frames a minute. On the fly-by-wire, which I love, and it's one of my favourite aircraft, I can be between 20 and 30 frames in the same scenery. But the fact that it links to Simbrief, the fact that it's just so easy to fly, it's just amazing, really. And we're not got too far to go till we start descending. The one thing I can't find, and I'm sure is here somewhere, is the top of descent point, like a progress page of some kind. Now, I'm not an expert at this aircraft, so if there is an expert and somebody does come across it, let me know. Right, so traffic, passenger briefings. Okie dokie. I'm sure I could probably zoom out a little bit on here. Find the top of the descent point. No, it's too much of a mess. I mean, it's going to be about there, that green bit there. Yeah, this automatically loads from Simbrief. If you scroll back to the start of my stream, it shows you how to do it. It's literally a click of a button and it loads it all in. Touch of a button. fact, I'll show you now. All you need to do is you go to Index, Next Page, Route Menu, and then Flight Plan Recall. You just click that. Initially, you'll need to put your pilot ID in, which you'll find on any flight plan from SimBrief. There is Palma ahead, Mallorca. Hello, Barrett.50. How are you, sir? Terry, I'm just hoping this aircraft is as easy to land as I hope it is. Yes, this has a working top of descent that you will see work brilliantly in a minute. It has its own fully working VNAV, which works absolutely independently of Asobo systems. And again, you will see all this working. This will basically fly to the runway and land itself. You just got to make sure that you're controlling the speed and you flare in time. It's as simple as that. So I'm just trying to work out where I can see my top of descent on the map, and I can't at the minute. It's going to be there on that green point, but we'll see in a second. Yeah, they've done a bloody good job. They really have done a good job. Right, just stick a little bit more juice. I'll put a link in the description as well to where you can download this from. But it is study level, and I would recommend some tutorials before you dive in. I've pretty much done a cold and dark setup on this stream if you want to rewind back and have a look. Some fingerprints on the window there. When you do hit top of descent, guys, you need to make sure you're managing your throttle, because you don't have an auto throttle. I found out a couple of times today, where you just sort of leave it and forget about it. Yeah, it is pretty damn insane, but it's good, and it's all functional. It all works brilliantly well. And all of this is like an Airbus, sorry, it's like a Boeing 737 on PMDG. You can enter anything on here. You can delete stuff. You can move it about. It's really straightforward. And if you do move stuff about, it automatically recalculates your top of descent for you. we're just coming down by Palma now. Sunny Mallorca. Now, in case you've missed before, you click on performance and click approach. You make sure you put your wind in. Is that right? Actually, let's have a quick look. Right, 360 at 4 knots, and I'll put 0, so I'm glad I checked. 360 at 4 knots. Wind is 15 degrees. It's telling me I'm going to land with a headwind and a crosswind of 3. QNH is 1016. Click next. There's your V approach speed. You click send. It will send those through. I wouldn't blame you starting a world tour. I did a flight from Birmingham to Ibiza in 2 hours 10 today in this jet, and it was just perfect. Now, I'm not an expert at this aircraft. I'm still learning it, but so far, with its working VNAV and its working LNAV and its working independent autopilot system that doesn't rely on a SOBO, it's just so sweet. I can't wait for fly-by-wire to get this. And you know, you've got a full working FADEC system as well in terms of your throttles. Yes, I do wish I was sat in that seat with a glass of malt whiskey right now, but hey ho. Hi, Mr. The Buzz, how are you? I'm just showcasing the new mod from Working Title with its own VNAV system, with its own autopilot system, with its own top of descent. Barrett, I don't think it will break this airplane because everything they've written on here is away from a SOBO. This does not rely on any of a SOBO systems. It's like a sim in a sim now. So whereas some of the other mods will break, I'm quite confident this one won't. Not too long to go. We see our top of descent. Let's have a look. It's there. You just can't see it under all that jumbo. Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. Let's see how it plays out, but I just think this is a joy to fly. Well, hello Stonky, and thank you for subscribing. It's very much appreciated. Oh dear. I do love Palma de Mallorca. There's your airport. If you go to their Discord, I can pop a link if you need it. Their developer has all the tutorials online, but the Buzz, this aircraft is really easy. If you go back to the start of this stream, I've done a cold and dark setup, and I'm no expert, and it was pretty easy. The hardest part of this was finding my pilot ID on SimBrief, so that it automatically loaded in my SimBrief plan. Yeah, I would consider making a cold and dark video, to be fair, but I pretty much have on this stream. If you scroll back, I've started it cold and dark and gone from the beginning, but obviously being live. But have a look back afterwards, buddy, and if it doesn't help you, let me know and I'll make a cold and dark. Just need to watch that speed. Right. There's our top of descent point just after IB 920. And you'll notice that the aircraft will be, I've already set the altitude at 0. Now what the aircraft will do is it will make a, if I click on legs, if I go through to the runway, it'll add 50 feet to the runway, so it's 19 degrees, so it's put in at 70, so that it will create a 30 degree angle down to the runway. So a typical glide slope. If you've ever flown this plane as a default, you won't recognise it. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, okay, I will do a cold and dark video then, if it adds value and it's useful. I'll certainly do that. But as I say, have a look back at this stream from the start, because I do start this aircraft cold and dark. I just don't explain every last thing I'm doing, but it's pretty straightforward, so just let me know if you want some help. We're not too far off descending down for Ibiza. Now, if anybody's got the SATEC multi-panel, it works with this aircraft as well, which is really good. Look at that little white dot. Is that another aircraft out there? Yeah, they've only released it today. It's only come out today, hence me doing the stream. That's why. I mean, they're only a small group of developers, not like Fly-by-Wire, which have got everybody helping them. These guys are really small, so they expect people to fly this and find problems and feed it back. So in effect, you are the QA testers. But so far, I'm going to be honest, I haven't found anything I can complain about. Yeah, I think you've got a new toy, Terry. I think you have. And I'm going to be honest, I think this is more enjoyable than the Airbus. It looks nice as well, I think. Can we see Ibiza? There's Ibiza coming in, look. So we've got to go around the other side of the island as well. So, yeah, I'm still waiting for our top of descent to kick in. Yeah, so Terry, I've done a couple of flights of this today, and it's been most enjoyable, if I'm honest. It's been lovely. I do wish I'd picked a higher altitude so I could have gone a little bit faster. No, apparently not. The CRJ doesn't, but the citation longitude does. You just got to remember your throttle. That's the only challenge. But actually it gives you something to do because the rest of this aircraft does itself. You should just start to see the top of descent point coming in now. It's a little green circle just there. No, it's got no thrust reverse either, but trust me, you don't need it. This thing takes off in 100 metres and it lands on a penny. It's brilliant. It's such a versatile little aircraft. Just got to pray that I don't cock up the approach. So I'm just not used to the landing in it yet. So hopefully, guys, you will see now you're approaching your top of descent. Shortly, you will see the wording TOD start to flash in here, telling you that it's about to descend, telling you to reset your altitude level. Now, I've already done mine. And guess what? You get a little marker on here telling you how well you're doing on your VNAV profile, whether you're still on it or not, just like you'd expect on a study level aircraft. You'll see in the top corner, we've got an altitude constraint of 4,000 feet, and it will honour that. And you can see on here that the aircraft is planning to descend at 4,000 feet per minute. See the little ring on the 4? So that's its plan when it kicks in. So let's see what it does. Yes, it does. If you have a look on performance, then approach, you put your weather information. It'll tell you whether landing into a head or tailwind and crosswind information, dry or wet. Click next, and then it says your V approach is 106, touchdown speed is 100. You click send, and it will push that information through to your pilot flight display, so it will appear on here as well. You can even set your minimums now, which is, if I find the right thing to turn down, set our minimums of 250. And actually, if I hit the refs menu again, Terry, you'll see, because I click send, there's our V approach speed of 106. Can you see that? This will be amazing in VR, I know. There's Ibiza. There's the airport just there. And now we need to just go on to our approach, to approach from the other side of the island. Now you can do an ILS in this. And if I click the tune, I can pop the frequency in here, which I'll do as a backup actually, because I'm going to do an RNAV approach today. But the ILS frequency is approach for ILS 6 is 111.1. 111.1. I'm going to load that in as a backup. However, I plan to do an RNAV. Yes, for Ibiza, I've got the Aerosoft version of Ibiza, which was kindly donated to me by Aerosoft to show off on a stream. Okay, so fingers crossed. We're just going to come up on our top of descent in a second. So we need to be ready to drop back our throttle. Can you see the word TOD now show up in here? In a minute that will start to flash. And if you keep your eye on the altitude shortly, you'll see what's going on. Can you see now on here the profile bug is coming in? So as that drops, you'll see that we start to descend automatically now. TOD starting to flash. And away we go without doing anything. So what we'll do now is pull back our throttle to about 25%. And it will now alternate your vertical speed to keep your bug on profile. Now I'm going to throttle to idle now because I need to slow down a little bit. Okay, so let's pop some seatbelts on. And we're going to pop on our landing lights. Now don't berate me if my landing's crap. I'm still getting used to this aircraft. What did you just see? What did I miss? Isn't this amazing, guys? Isn't this amazing? As you'll see, we are beautifully on profile. Yep, we are descending beautifully. It does work. This is the only study level aircraft right now in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Long may there be more, but fair play to these guys for doing it first. So I'm going to let my speed bleed back to about 180 knots for now. Now, I could land on an ILS approach, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to leave the RNAV to do its thing. It does. It really does. And when I tried this today and it worked, Terry, it was like I haven't wasted my money on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Do you know that feeling that you get? I finally realised I haven't wasted my money and I'm going to get something that works. Right, speed's at 190. When we get to 180, I'm going to bring the throttle back in a little bit from idle just to keep us at 180 for now. But look at my frames. My frames haven't dropped below 40 odd. Yes, sir, the buzz, it's in the description. I put it in the description to this video, mate. Okay, so speed is at 184. I'm just going to leave this on RNAV. I'm going to bring my speed to 10%. Just watch sure I don't accelerate too much. Obviously having a manual throttle is a bit of a unusual. I'm used to having an auto throttle, so it just takes a bit of getting used to. But look how nice and slowly and relaxed we're descending. Still on profile, still going well. Speed's 190 now, we just pull back on the throttle. Okay, base leg. Now we're actually under the profile a little bit, if you can see. So it's slowed the descent rate down now, so you just need to watch your speed because that will bleed off. Now if you notice across on here on your pilot flight display, you've got VPAF. And so yeah, it's following your VNAV path. Now if you can't get VNAV working, typically you haven't switched it on, which is your button here. So yeah, I would recommend watching the stream from the start and it will show you exactly what you need to do. You'll have to excuse these Xbox notifications that keep coming up. My son shares the same account. So we are still on VNAV profile. Speed is nice. I'm just going to drop the throttles back to idle. We're approaching on a really nice VNAV profile into Ibiza. Okay, now we're not too far. We are 21 miles from touchdown, and you can see that on here. So 5 minutes away, and that's the fuel you're going to have when you land. And you can see we are still on VNAV profile. On this one, or this one, which one do you mean, Barrett? On here, that's just telling you where it's going to place the vertical speed indicator. Here is your VNAV path, so that's telling you if you're on profile or not. So if air traffic control has given you an altitude, you'll know if you're above or below the path for VNAV. Okay, so we're going to go flaps 1, and we're going to slow down to 150 knots. Oh, here, this is for the ILS, Instrument Landing System. This will tell you if you're above or below or on track in terms of your glide path. But I'm not going to use the Instrument Landing System. Okay, so you'll see that we're 4,500 now, and our speed is nicely bleeding off. And you can just about make out the runway ahead, and we've already got 2 white, 2 red on the pappies. And we're 15 miles out. Just keeping an eye on our speed. Now we know that our V approach speed is 100 and I can't even remember, 106. So by the time we get to our final fix, we're looking to be, and that's going to be 6 miles out, we're going to look to be around that 100 knots mark. But as you'll see, I'm on idle, and I've got flaps 1 out, and I'm not slowing down anymore. So you'll notice that when we deploy the gear, that's when you'll get a lot of drag, and you'll start to really bring your speed under control. Still on profile, still downloading really well, descending, not downloading. Still perfectly lined up with the runway, though this is saying the pappies are saying we're a little bit low at the minute. And actually, if you look at the profile, it stopped descent because guess what? We're a bit low. So it automatically knows. We just need to watch the speed. And it's going to start descending again in a minute. Just have a look at the pappies. Have we got 2? We're still on 3 reds, 1 white at the minute. But we've still stopped descent to a certain element, and we're still above on that profile. Now I'll try and land this as best I can. I'm quite new to this, so no berating me if I cock it up, all right? But in terms of approach, this thing will pretty much plant itself on the runway. Let's check those pappies again. 2 white, 2 reds. We're 7 miles out now, and we're going to drop our gear. Airspeed's nicely bleeding off. But we got to be careful of our speed. Thank you for the subscription. I thought my autopilot had just... Barry, thank you. I just thought my autopilot had disconnected then. It made me jump. Okay, so I thought, what have I done? Why is my autopilot just disconnected? Oh gosh, okay. Still 2 whites, 2 reds on an RNAV approach. Six nautical miles out. When we get to 4 nautical miles, we'll go flaps full and we'll manage our V approach speed. Still on profile. So what you'll see now is the aircraft has now set the elevation level plus 50 feet for you to flare. So it will stop descent at 70. That's and then that's where you would flare and land. So this has created an absolutely perfect 30-degree angle straight down to the runway for you. Now, the amount of ILS landings I've done recently, and they're miles out, look at that. How perfectly lined up is that? And we are 4 miles out, and we are now flaps full, and we need to bring in the throttles.
Altitude.
It's telling me I'm less than 1,000 feet now. And we'll just watch our speed. We're looking for 106 knots right now. Two whites, 2 reds still. And then to disengage your autopilot when you're ready is just this block button here. Still on profile.
500.
Still looking good. Bring the throttles back slightly. And so far, the only thing I've done is drop the gear, the flaps, and I'm managing the throttle. The VNAV system has done the rest.
Autopilot.
So I've disconnected the autopilot now. It's so sensitive. Okay. We're doing a bit more in the middle of the runway. There we go, and we're down. You'll see it sits on 2 wheels for ages until you touch the brake, and then it'll bring the front wheels down. Wasn't perfectly centered line. Welcome to Ibiza, ladies and gentlemen, party island of Spain. I know. I've got to get used to this aircraft, so I'm not used to flying the little one, so it was a little bit floaty. I'll totally give you that. And I tried to look at my touchdown rate and also look at the screen and steer at the same time. Touchdown rate was -7 feet. -7. That's funny. So yeah, -7. So yeah, I think that was a little bit too soft, to be fair. But I will get used to this. And I need to get it better lined up on the centre line, to be fair. But just bearing in mind, you could fly this aircraft to any runway, any airport in the world, because it will create its own VNAV profile to land you there. You don't need ILS, you don't need all these approaches. Well, Terry, if you get stuck, if you need any help, you know where I am. You can message me. You're on my Discord, aren't you? I'm quite sure you are. So if you get stuck, just message me and I'll help you. Like I say, I am absolutely no expert. In fact, we'll just park in the GA space here. But I'll certainly help you as best as I can. Okay, so to show you how to cool this down, engines off, lights off, clear the warnings, avionics off, battery off, and once the engine's gone, you're cold and dark, and you are done, sir. Welcome to Ibiza. In your perfectly beautiful, I think I should have gone to the next one that they were waiting for me there. So thank you for watching. I'd really genuinely appreciate it. If you'd like the stream and share it to other people that might want to get this aircraft, I would appreciate it. Apart from that, enjoy flying it. You can get the link in the description, and I will see you all very soon. Good night.